Okay, part 2 of our end of season social club review. It's not a review of social club, it's a review of our Premier League predictions. We're going from 12th to 6th.
If it was a review of social club, no ped, no party.
Would be your review of it. Fair enough. That's fine.
And everybody else's in the comments.
Pretty much.
Ask a Newcastle fan or a West Ham fan or a Championship fan.
Or lots of compliments for Liam. There's a lot of them in social club as
people
well.
love Liam.
I really love him.
Or me, the daddy.
People love you.
Well.
Yeah, you did
That
kind of bring
put
that
to
one on
bed
yourself.
and
Luke.
just taking it out of bed. So let's kick off with who finished 12th.
Is it a question?
It's not. It's a
good.
statement.
Who did?
Leicester City finished 12th.
Unsurprising.
Now, you guys put them 8th. When we had the discussion, it's another one where this is where I've done my research and found the little bits that I got correct. I'm now bringing them to life again. I said Leicester were going to have a bit of a nightmare of a season. I also said a Leicester City fan would generally be quite happy if you offered them 12th and a good Champions League run, which is what happened. You both and Flav said I was a joke. I was outrageous. And actually, Flav said of all the players that they were going to lose, out of Vardy, Mahrez, and Kante's the one that you could get rid of.
Did he?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
At least none of us look the worst, eh?
Getting to the review of their season, I kind of got lucky actually because it could have. If I'm going for 12, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
And someone in the comments actually is always having a go at me saying, "Apologise for saying Ranieri shouldn't have gone." I'm standing by that. I understand. I understand that Shakespeare's come in and done fantastically well,
Snake.
but I still don't enjoy the fact that Ranieri was sold down the river. But that is the way of modern football now, isn't it?
Unfortunately, it is. Had Ranieri not got sacked, they could have done what Sunderland did. They really were heading that way. But they were like right on the edge of relegation zone when they started winning.
So would they have gone down? Would they have gone if
Essentially.
they had stuck with him?
Look, I don't know. Is the honest answer, and we'll never know.
True.
So I can be right on this one.
That's a good point.
Or impossible to prove
But
wrong.
were you surprised that they had such a difficult season?
No, because you're right. They were always going to prioritise the Champions League. It was their time because is it ever going to come again?
Chance?
Yeah, and they still had the core of that squad together. Obviously, Kante proved that he was the difference last season. He's done it all season at Chelsea. But I expected a lot more of Leicester in the league. I didn't expect them to bend over as much as they did, and they were awful in the league. They really were. And I don't know how. Well, actually, you know exactly how they all switched as soon as Ranieri went and Shakespeare came in. All of a sudden, they could play football again.
I find that so strange how how it could feel so obvious. Or play like last year, and then it can be done like that.
This man knows.
I just feel sorry for
He's
them.
seen his team do it how many times?
Well,
Villas-Boas,
Villas-Boas, that was his fault because Villas-Boas was an idiot. He tried to change it too quickly. He was given the task of kind of slowly push out the old guard. So Drogba, Lampard, and Terry and that, and he just went, now just get rid of them now. Just put players in, and then they're all sat there, obviously with a lot of power because they've been there for a while, going, well, this isn't right. So he lost his job. Mourinho just screwed up, but I kind of just feel sorry for Ranieri.
This season had massive lows and then great runs as well. Do you think that is the kind of what?
Sorry.
You're laughing at me saying great runs. Yeah. That's so vague. That's so vaguely. It's not even sexual. It's just toilet humour. Anyway, do you think this is where is this where they truly live?
Well, I feel like you've lost page actually.
Yeah,
I might have to step in on this.
Stay
one.
on the 2.
No, I think Leicester will be. Actually, I have no idea what's coming next season with Leicester. They could lose their entire team. And any player who I feel like the only one who's actually trying to keep this together.
Yeah, thanks.
I'll take over from hosting duties. So James has lost it. He's wearing salmon and he's doing toilet humour. It's not your day, is it?
I'm not doing toilet humour. Jesus Christ. Father of 2. Father of 2. Let's move on. Southampton and Stoke. Who's had a better season there? That's what. Obviously, those are our predictions. On it itself, obviously, I guess in the league, Southampton 46 points, and we've said already, we said in the other video, only 6 points between 8th and 17th. The fact that they're 8th, does that just kind of paper over the cracks of that they've actually had quite a disappointing season, or are the expectations too high there?
No, they have. I don't think the expectations are too high. I think it's a really difficult place to go and do your business, I suppose, Southampton.
I'm not sure anybody would have better knowledge than that than Chris Page, the Liverpool fan.
Because look, they always sell their best players. It's really difficult. They always sell their best players. It's always to us, and you just feel sorry for them, don't you? I mean,
They just sympathy coming out of there.
I can't do this.
Okay, no. Too tired for this. Oh, God.
They have consistently done better than everybody thinks they should do for years now. You know, even going back to like selling, like some Bale and stuff like that. Their youth system's unbelievable, and they keep on overachieving. So this season, I think they've really struggled. Oh my God, I don't even know why we're laughing anymore.
I just heard a snigger. I couldn't resist the snigger.
What were you talking about? Southampton?
Yeah, you were talking about Southampton selling Bale.
Why was I talking about them selling Bale? It was fucking years ago. So I think they've overachieved for ages. You know, they've got a great youth academy. They bring in players. You know, they sign players and they turn them into something. Like Van Dijk this season could go for 50 million quid. They bought him for 13 million from Celtic. You know, they take chances on these players and they make them more valuable and they make them proper Premier League quality players. But they're continuing to fight the battle of bigger sides coming in and taking the best players.
Yeah.
How many seasons can you actually do that for before you have to realise that you've got to hold on to our players and we've got to improve, and they keep selling the best players. I mean, what do you think? How do you think Southampton should be doing? Start speaking.
You do something.
Finishing top half would be a good season, but obviously Puel hasn't exactly...
Jesus Christ.
This has descended into a fucking early learning centre job. There'll be a bit of Southampton you can use.
Yeah, he's going to spend all day editing this one fucking video.
Just make that work.
Yeah. West Ham finished 11th. We had them down as 7th. We thought they were going to do very well. Dimitri Payet, all the good feeling going into the London Stadium. It's been an absolute car crash of a move. The first half of the season, they had an absolute nightmare. Payet's gone. They kind of figured it out again and finished 11th, which... How big a side are West Ham? Should they be expected to be higher than that? Well, were we right in putting them at 7th?
I think the move to London Stadium was the thing that really ruined them. I mean, when I went, I hated it as well. It's a rubbish stadium. There's no atmosphere, and West Ham was renowned for its atmosphere at the Bowling Ground. You know, it was a fortress.
Yeah. Do you think it's unfair for Bilic to be kind of under pressure? Because all of these teams, you're going to drift, aren't you? You're going to have good seasons and bad seasons, and so as long as you're not truly in trouble,
no, it's
not the end of the
world.
world.
But you can't apply that because every club has different expectations. And going into this season, they kept their squad together. They kept Dimitri Payet. They were moving to a new stadium. Everything was heading in the right direction for West Ham, and they had been sold a story of how wonderful it's going to be. And this new stadium, and it really, it's not that it just hasn't worked out. It's been an ultimate car crash. It's a complete pile up on the motorway. It's not like something you can instantly recover on. It's obviously losing the Boleyn Ground was always going to be, the romanticism is going to leave the football club for a fixed period, and hopefully they'll gain it back over the years. That's something you can't avoid, but what you can avoid is someone like Dimitri Payet hanging up his boots before the end of the season. That's just unfortunate that's happened at the same time. It's been 1, 2, 3 on top of each other
during the season. I mean, that was unique because he is your best player by a mile. He was the reason they'd done so well.
I think he's still got the most chances created for West Ham this season. And that's how poor they've been. Look, you know, they might have finished in the top half of the table, or was it just outside? Was it 11?
It was 11th.
They won 12 games. They lost 19. You know,
17, but yeah.
17, sorry. That is not good enough. You know, I think they finished with the same record exactly as wins, draws and losses as West Bromwich Albion. Now, from the highs of the previous season, that's not good enough for West Ham.
But the mediocrity of the season before, then maybe...
if you step in front, last season they beat every single team. Every top 6 team. Beat City away, I think they drew against us, they beat you away.
Yeah.
They were fantastic. And they kept this whole team together. They had the same manager. It was just a move to a new stadium.
I think they also the European going out of the Europa League was a nightmare for them. That starts the kind of the bad vibe of it all, and also the players that they brought in didn't seem to improve the squad at all. They brought in numbers. Yeah, Zaza was a joke.
One of the worst signs of the season up there with Bravo for me.
Yeah,
just didn't do it. They had their opportunities. The one shining light for me, for West Ham fans, is that they managed to get an atmosphere against Tottenham. Because now I think West Ham fans know that they can produce a big atmosphere. Now I went there for the last game. For Liverpool's game against West Ham towards the end of the season. They were terrible, and the ground is not a football stadium. No. It's an event stadium. It's one of those places that everywhere, as an away fan, you go, wow, this is great. Look at this. It's got a lovely walk up to it, kind of like Wembley Way and all that type of stuff. It's not made for Premier League football, and they'll struggle as long as they're in that stadium, and they've made the bed, and they're going to have to lie in it now. Yeah. They can get up for a big game. Can they do it against anybody else? That's the question, because ultimately when they're playing West Brom, it's 3 points on offer. When they're playing Tottenham, it's 3 points on offer. If they can only do it for the big games, they're going to struggle.
Yeah, Chris is,
give him a second.
Chris is saying it right there. They're in this bed and they're not going to be leaving this stadium. So it's now up to the fans. They may not like it. They may wish they were back in the Boleyn Stadium. But if they want it to be a toxic atmosphere for the club and for the players, just continue to sit in silence. I know it's going to be difficult because the acoustics of the stadium, it literally is an event. It's horrible. There's a huge gap between tiers of stands where there's a 20-metre gap between people. You can just look down at a tunnel. We shouldn't be able to do that at a football stadium. Yeah. It's ridiculous. But it's the opportunity for West Ham to become a bigger club than it has been in its history.
They've got problems with the stewarding as well. I think we've seen all season long that they didn't take all the stewards from the bowling ground. They've got stewards celebrating goals for opposition teams. An Everton fan steward got caught celebrating. Wow. Now that's why you get trouble in stadiums, because these are the guys that are supposed to be there to protect you, and they're not even in it for you. Whereas, when at the Boleyn, they were all West Ham fans. Yeah. And you're going to get that around the ground. You're going to get that around the country. Of course, you're going to get a few rival fans being thingy, but there's so many of them. Man United fans, there's Liverpool fans in there, and these guys were brought in, hadn't been stewards before, and basically have got this raucous crowd to deal with. And it's partly on the fans, it's mostly on the club. They need to sort that out quickly.
I think the one positive that I've got is for players across Europe, I don't think they'll be that aware of it. They'll just go, this is a team in London, they've got a load of money. Oh, they've got a big stadium as well. They won't. I don't think they'll know the nuances of that, and I think they'll still be able to attract those players. To make a final point, they run into a bit of a danger because they spent plenty of money last summer. Obviously, Ayew was the big signing, which really didn't work out, unlucky with injuries. But Bilic has been given plenty of money, and it hasn't worked out. So are the owners now going to make that same thing happen again this summer and give them a big nugget of money to spend, and for ultimate failure to happen again, or they're going to say, let's cut our losses now. Let's look
I don't
at
think
Tuchel.
it's not all down to Bilic, though, in my opinion. Bilic is a good manager. He's proven it with Croatia and he's proven it with West Ham. I think that the stadium and just obviously it's going to take time to bed into that atmosphere and bed into that ground. You just need to have a period of stability. I would give Bilic the money and he can go out and prove a point because he can do it and he's proven he can do it. So I just think he should be given more time because he's probably, in my opinion, he's one of the best managers in the league.
There's a similar theme for a few of these clubs. Stoke City, I think, is another one where we put them. You had a strong feeling that they weren't going to have a good season. They'd finished 9th in the last 3 seasons before that. The big question for them, it's similar to Bilic, similar to most of these managers of the mid-table sides, is the fact that he hasn't done that well with the money he spent. People like Wilfred Boney, Bojan. Shaqiri's done okay for them, but there's money that's been spent that hasn't worked out for them. Him, one, staying, 2, being given a load of money is going to be an interesting one. This one, I want to talk about Everton because we had them down as 9th, which when I watched the videos this morning, I was thinking, oh well, we must have put Everton 7th because they're kind of
so obvious,
they're in their own little league there in 7th, but we didn't. We had them in 9th. We had Leicester and West Ham doing above them. So. Have they done well? Has it been a positive season? They've obviously got a lot more points.
I think it's been a brilliant season for them. I think they've had one of their best seasons at home that they've had for years and years. They've had a guy score over 20 goals, I think, for the first time since Gary Lineker in the 80s or something. They found a brand of football and a manager that seems to get them.
Home form is fantastic.
Absolutely. And, they've beaten some big sides. Was it Man City they beat 4-0?
Yeah, beat Arsenal at home.
I mean, they've been really good. The difficulty for Everton, like it is for most of the clubs around and about there. I'm throwing them in with everyone else, but they're a class above everybody else, to be fair. I think
now they are, definitely.
Now they are a class above. It's holding on to Lukaku, it's holding on to Barkley and stuff. That's where they struggle. Everton fans think they might. They've got a lot of money. They might be able to kick on. Look, they're a big side. They're a huge historical football club. And I'd like to see them start challenging the other teams around Liverpool and that, because they're huge and the fans are brilliant. As much as I love to banter with them and all that type of stuff, they know the football. They've got a good squad, good manager and a good striker.
Yeah. A good example is that Baz, he said they would finish 7th, so he got that spot on. And 6th.
Oh, yeah?
So one of these teams, one of those top 6 teams, had to obviously finish 6th. You sort of lived in that spot for
we had
a long
I think
part
it
of
was
the
like
season.
an unbroken 140-day stretch where we didn't leave 6th. And in that time, we went on that sort of 24, 25 game unbeaten streak. Yet we still didn't leave 6th. So ultimately, United finishing 6th was pretty inevitable. But it's because Mourinho made a conscious decision. We drew 1-1 against Swansea at home. We should have won that game. We let Sigurdsson equalise with a late free kick, quality free kick, but we shouldn't have done that. But so many times in this season, I think we had like 12 home draws. That's where our league went down. In the same form that Burnley had amazing home form, United's was just poor. And we went into the Arsenal game away with the Europa League semi-final coming up, and we had loads of injuries going into it, not a very big squad. Mourinho decided to rest a lot of key players. We lost 2-0 away at Arsenal. The next week we lost 2-1 away at Spurs, and then we drew 0-0 away at Southampton. But we won the Europa League. So Mourinho just had 2 paths he could have gone down. He said, right, I could still try and get that top 4, but it might hinder this. And I thought that was a huge, huge risk. Lo and behold, he's been vindicated. It was the right decision because ultimately United failed quite...
Do you think that's why he celebrated? Like, I've never seen him celebrate.
Oh, he looked like a manager where everybody was doubting the decisions that he had made, and he said, well, fuck you. I've been proven completely correct. Look, there's 2 trophies, 3 if you want to call the Community Shield an actual trophy, but it's definitely 2. But United failed quite badly in the league. The expectation was that we were going to challenge in the league. We spent a lot of money. We had a good manager coming in. We had a decent core before those signings were made, but we finished 6th. But we're in the Champions League next year. So the season as a whole was a success, but a manager like Mourinho, a manager like Guardiola is going to be measured on how well he does in the league. That is the main part of the job. That's the 38-game season. That is where you've got to do well. And next year, United have to be up there. But this year it was a bad failure that was masked over by the Europa League.
Is there any leg that Mourinho can stand on? The basic facts are they spent so much money, and they're not even 3rd, not even 4th. And I know there's a lot of good teams there, obviously, but we thought they were going to be right up there. Should that be a worry if you're a Man United fan?
No, it shouldn't be. I think if the target for Mourinho, if not getting into top 4, was to the top 4 means Champions League football. You have Champions League football. For me, that they've achieved that goal. And there was 2 routes to doing it. He picked one and it worked. When he was manager at Chelsea, he usually picked something and he'd go down that path. You would trust him, other than last season. But a lot of the time, he would do something. You'd be like, right, okay, don't quite understand why, but usually it would work out. He chose that path. Ultimately, Manchester United have Champions League football. Ultimately, they're back where, as a big club, they should be.
And they've had 2 great finals that they've won as
exactly.
well. Yeah.
So all in all, it has been a good season for Man United. That's my opinion. I mean, you might think differently.
You can't call that. No Man United manager has ever won a trophy in his first season at the club. Jose Mourinho's won 2. And it's our first ever Europa League trophy. It's completed the set. We've won every single trophy we can as a club now. There's a lot of high points this season. It's just there's been a shitload of frustration in the league at home. That is where United's league went. But we can see a real path that we're going under Mourinho that we never saw under Moyes or Van Gaal. And yes, there's been a lot of defensive football, but there's been a lot of attacking football in there. And we've made good signings. All 4 of his signings have proved to be some of our best players this year. And I believe whoever he signs this summer and whoever he gets rid of, which hopefully means that Rooney's going to leave and Man United can move forward as a club without Rooney, we're going to be in really, really good shape. And Mourinho's won the league in his 2nd season at Porto, Chelsea, Inter and Real Madrid.
Wow. One final question for you, Chris. Who do you think's had a better season if you take away the fact that you qualified for the Champions League? When you look at Man United and a Spurs or a Liverpool who've made Champions League but haven't won something this season.
Who's had the better season out of who, sorry?
So
Liverpool
if you take
and
away the
United?
fact that they qualified for the Champions League by winning the Europa League, does finishing 6th and winning those 2 trophies, is that still a better season than
Look,
than making the Champions League.
they've had a more successful season than us. I mean, that's obvious, isn't it? I think it's hard to say because
If they were both called Liverpool, and you could choose one of those seasons, or next season you could choose that season.
I'd rather win the trophies. I'd always rather win the trophies. Why wouldn't you?
Would you agree with that?
It's just a given.
Yeah.
Like,
Because I don't think I think the spin on a lot of people would be like, well, yeah, but you didn't make it to the Champions League. That's what a lot of people would say.
It's just that's been the marker of success, has been that top four, whether you're in it or you're out of it. That's the success of your season. It's just that now that you can get into the Champions League by winning the Europa League, it's completely changed that competition. I mean, Liverpool obviously went the whole way last year and lost to Sevilla. Had they won that and then Klopp got back into the Champions League, it would have been an incredible debut season by Klopp. It's just that football, you're now led to believe that the top four, if you don't get in it, your season's been a failure, as far as certain clubs go. But Manchester United have shown this season, you'd much rather win trophies than finish fourth.
I agree. I think that's getting weeded out, that feeling. Which is a shame.
Not for clubs who haven't won a lot of trophies. Liverpool haven't won trophies for a long time now. You know, I think it was 2012 the last time we won a trophy. That's a long time. You know, we were in the League Cup final and the Europa League final last season and lost both of them. That's not good enough. That's not what you want as a Liverpool fan. Liverpool made progress this season by getting into the top four, but we didn't have a successful season.
There you go. So that's part 2 of our season review, not of Social Club, of the Premier League. I keep doing that. We're going to be talking about the 1st to 5th teams in the Premier League, how we predicted it, and how it came to be with Robbie from Arsenal Fan TV. So make sure you check that out. Later in the week, we've got Ask the Club. Robbie again is talking about Arsene Wenger and that contract extension. And we've got the Team of the Year, where we're going to be talking about who makes it as the striker in our Team of the Season. So check out all of that. Like this video if you've enjoyed it. Let us know what you think down below. And subscribe to Ball Street.